Everybody, my name is Jim Clark. I work at Docker, and we've just recently done work on a GenAI stack, and I'm going to introduce you to that GenAI stack today. But I wanted to start off the theme of the talk: AI friend or foe. I think that's what we're talking about: AI friend or foe. I should have brought in a little bit more DevOps, because, like, ironically, I actually am working on AI and DevOps at Docker right now. But I am gonna I'll give you a couple of areas where I think this is still relevant to DevOps. I have a bunch of tarot cards up here. In a very strange little part of my life, 15 years ago, I started to get really interested in tarot cards. And I would show up at places. I was working in a physics department at the time, and to be honest, tarot cards were considered not particularly scientific, and maybe they didn't look like the stereotypical tarot card reader. However, I would get people to come in, and I would do these spreads for them, and they would ask me a bunch of questions. And the questions were like, well, what does this card mean? And when I put this card in relation to this, what does that mean? And they would start asking me questions about their lives. And it was kind of a query interface, a really, really weird query interface into their brain, because these tarot cards are symbols, they're words. And at the end of one of these sessions, you have a conversation with a person that you didn't expect to have. So these are tools. These are essentially tools. And one of the things that I said to people was, it's one of the surprises of doing these readings is at the end of it, if it works, if you've had a good conversation, if you've gone from one place to another and learned something, you might end up thinking that that like a person is sort of psychic, or in the tarot card world, they call it like divination. And of course, that's not true at all. You've just used tools. And you've had a conversation that you wouldn't have otherwise had because you had the availability of some tools that you didn't have before. So we started really thinking about that in terms of like GenAI stacks. They're actually kind of hard to spin up. And so about a month ago, we decided we're going to build up a GenAI stack from scratch so people can play around with it. And people can kind of look at, here I am trying something out, where can I get with that? So we wanted to make it really, really easy to start up. So it's, in a sense, I'm almost doing the opposite of a DevOps talk here, because this is like git clone, Docker compose up, and you get a stack. And you can do retrieval augmentation on this. I'll show you a couple of samples of it. You can play with it, because what are conversations really? They're like playing. So it's self-contained, everything is local, you can run it on an airplane. Maybe it's actually a great app to practice doing retrieval augmented generation deployment of apps, because it's a perfect thing to just like do some like DevOps practicing on. So the current stack is a bunch of this is Docker desktop. I'm from Docker. This is what the stack looks like. It's got a vector index. It's got a vector database with an index database in it. It's got some bots. It's got a bunch of Python apps that that won't be very surprising to anyone in the room. And we compose it with Docker Compose. We use Ollama to bring all of the LLMs local. That's a really cool tool. I don't know if anyone's tried it out, but you would try it out if you tried the GenAI stack. We use LangChain for most of this. We've got a little bit of Llama index in there as well. We're just trying to use like OpenStack things that we know developers are enjoying playing with, and we're using Neo4j as well for the vector index. We wanted it to be pluggable because, again, this is about playing. We want people to try out different things. So Llama and Claude V2 you can try locally. If you want to try out GPT-4, GPT-3.5, no problem. Of course, you have to have an API key. Lots of different embeddings, because when you're playing around with applications, that's sometimes the key thing that you're practicing and you're playing with. So that's there as well. And then we've got some UI examples. So one of the things that we really wanted to give people the opportunity to try out was take an LLM, any of these different pluggable LLMs, and try adding some different knowledge graphs to it and see what kind of a conversation you can have with this. So find some relevant starting points, build up a knowledge base, and see how the conversation actually changes. So here's one of the apps that will start up when you start up this GenAI stack. There's a question at the bottom here: how can I calculate age from date of birth in Cypher? And so with RAG disabled, I can ask the question, and then I'll go and copy the same question here and enable RAG and look at whether the answer is any different. And this is just the kind of thing that is fun to play with, to see like, how would an LLM answer things differently if I gave it all of this extra knowledge? And so we kind of like obsessed with this idea of like, turn it on, turn it off, put some more knowledge in, try it again. And of course, like always keeping track of what's the source of this knowledge. Like why, if you like this answer better than this answer, what was the knowledge that we actually used in order to give you that better answer? Let me show you a little bit of what that actually looks like. So we're importing data in this one of the examples anyway. We're just importing data from Stack Overflow. So very, very simple model. Let's have a question. Let's have a user answer that question. Tag that question with a label just so that you can find it. Just create that very, very simple set of relationships there, and just crawl over data and add as many of them as you can, and then just start asking questions against that. It's just a, it's just a graph. So here's what it looks like in the GenAI stack. There's a Stack Overflow loader. And you just go in and you go, what are you interested in? Maybe you're interested in Docker, you're interested in GenAI, you're interested in mushroom drinks, you're interested in why honey never spoils. I don't know what you're interested in, but you just like throw this data into here and let all the data get pulled in. And then we've got another bot app here where you can just say, what is Docker Scout, if I can spell Docker Scout, and I'll ask that question, and maybe it'll give me a bad answer. And again, I'll toggle on all the Stack Overflow knowledge and ask that question again, and hopefully I'll get a different answer. And it will take a little bit longer because now it's pulling in this knowledge graph, but maybe the answer will be better. And this is the essence of you being able to really play with these things. We also put a PDF bot in here, so you can upload a PDF, and that becomes the knowledge base for whatever application you want to play with. So I uploaded here a Navin travel rewards, and so maybe I go, what is this document about anyway? And of course, it reads the PDF for me and spells out the stuff. So again, it's playing. Like this is all about just trying to give you an environment locally that you can play with this and learn how does the conversation get changed by you having this tool. My parents were visiting me from Toronto yesterday, and I sat there with this for them for a while because they were kind of a little bit. They asked me, what is AI? And they're a little bit scared of it, and they didn't even really want to ask any questions to this. And so I said, well, let's just sit down. And 2 hours later, we'd had a conversation about a bunch of really, really weird things, and it was super fun. And they kept going, why don't you put this document in and then read this document, and now let's answer this question. And my dad kept changing like single words from friend to relative to oh yeah, and they were having a really good time, and by playing with it, they were learning the sorts of things that it's possible to do with it. So that's what the GenAI. That's why we're putting this GenAI stack together, just to make this kind of thing really, really easy for you to do. And lots of different applications. Well, there's like 4 different applications that we've built on the left. A couple of different LLMs that you can use. Some different ways of inputting knowledge, so you can like play around with Stack Overflow, or maybe even build your own knowledge graph. And then just sort of jump back and forth in that conversation, like, what do you know now? What do you know now? Just play. So we put this out about a month ago. We're getting about 100 people cloning it a day. Star count is around 14, some engagement. Users are running the stack on quite a few different hosts, different GPUs, and that's why I said, like, from a DevOps perspective, like, I like putting DevOps knowledge into this and asking questions, of course. I want to teach this thing how to speak Kubernetes, so I don't have to. And we've added a couple apps, like the PDF bot that I showed you there. Someone from the community threw in last week, and that's one of my most fun things. That's one of the more fun ones to play with. So anyone can try this. It's at Docker GenAI stack. And because I thought this was about friend or foe, I was going to have an opinion here. I do, and it's friend. So thank you.